Gregory James from Empire Flip has recently done an interview with Kelvin from Human Proof Designs. Gregory is essentially just the director of marketing over at Empire Flippers. And if you don't know what Empire Flippers is, it's just an online marketplace where you can essentially buy and sell websites or any online business. So they handle drop shipping, FBA, content, websites, or anything related to an online business. It's like the main place that you would go if you wanted to sell a business or buy one online. All right, so what I wanted to go through today is a few things that I was able to gain from that interview and information that I can pass on to you that you can apply to your business in order to succeed with affiliate marketing and building niche websites. Now, throughout the interview, they go through several different topics, of how your website is sold, how it's valued, what you can expect to sell it for, how buyers, what they look out for in a site and how they capitalize on different opportunities, so on and so forth. So there's going to be quite a bit of information inside of this video. Make sure you watch it right through to the end, as there's a ton of information that you're going to be able to take away and apply to your online niche websites. Okay, so the first actual topic is going to be about how much you can expect to sell a niche site for. Now, I assumed prior to watching this video that you could sell it for around, anywhere between, they say 10 to 30 times the monthly income. So that is what the ballpark figure still sits at, but he gave us a more accurate piece of information because he was able to take data from the last 3 years that they've managed to gain on the average multiple that they would sell a website for, and the actual number for that is 27 times the monthly income. Now, that can depend on many different varying factors, but you can actually get an accurate valuation by heading over to empireflippers.com/valuation-tool. That's valuation-tool, and I'll leave a link to that in the description if you wanted to check that out. Now, the different factors that can affect the way that you sell your site involve how you get your traffic. So they talk about whether you're getting it from SEO or social media, diversification. So if you're doing it through affiliate, they also spoke about FBA products and also combining that with ads. So what he said is they were able to, sell a site at, I think it was a 49 multiple times the monthly income because the site was diversified in the way that it was making money. So the way they were monetizing the site was with adverts, with affiliate products, and with Amazon FBA. He also spoke about building an email list. So he said even if you've got an email list, you need to be engaging and active with that list. Now, having a list is better than not having one, so that will increase your multiple, but then you engaging with that list will be something that will relevantly increase it again by maybe 27, 28x or whatever the multiple is that you'll get. All right, now one of the other things is average monthly income, which is obviously one of the most obvious metrics that we would measure how much you can sell a site for. Then the other one is whether or not you're using PBNs. Now, a lot of people might think if you're using PBNs, and if you don't know what that is, it's private blog networks. It's just a bunch of sites that interlink amongst each other to create a lot of authority that link back to your money post, wherever you link it to, and it increases the overall authority of your site and the rankings on the specific post that you link to. Now, you might assume that if you use PBNs, that it's going to be very hard to sell your site, which he said, Gregory James claimed to be further from the truth. He said a lot of buyers are actually interested in these kind of sites purely because that they can diversify their portfolio with it. So if they buy like 10 of these crash and burn websites, 6 of them might stick, which will still bring in a good average monthly income that will compensate for the other ones that might crash and burn. So they are very interested in sites with PBN. So bear that in mind. If you are using PBNs, then it's okay to still sell your site if you do have that on there. One of the things that it doesn't depend on is your niche. So he was talking about niches. He explained, that there was a certain circumstance where they sold the site at around a 49x multiple on that specific occasion, what I was talking about, where they diversified, but he was talking about something being related to the niche on the particular time. Reason being is because it was in the finance niche he mentioned, so I took that away. Reason being is because obviously the buyer intent is completely different within that particular industry. If you focus something around finance, even when you place adverts on it, even if you have like a finance channel or something like that, a finance website, the advertisers will pay a lot more for that particular niche because of the audience. They can monetize with high ticket products, you see, like consultations, meetings, whatever it is, or product services, whatever it may be. There's a lot of money for advertisers to make. So on the back end of that, or contrary of that, you're going to make a lot of money as an affiliate. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about is how you can actually go about increasing the multiples on your site. Because if you've got a website, one of the most interesting things, or one of the best things you can do, is increase your chances at being able to sell it and exit with a massive payout. So one of the things that I would recommend you do is diversify your website. Now that could mean placing ads on the site, affiliate products, and then even coming out with your own products that you actually replace from Amazon, of where you can monetize your site and deliver the products yourself. So you could drop ship it, or you could create, work with a service provider, a supplier, and then deliver the product directly to the customer. Doing this can really increase your site. And there was one metric that he gave a multiple where it was astronomical through someone actually doing this. So if you were to increase your diversification across your site, so say for example, you had ads, affiliate products, and serving it yourself for Amazon FBA or an email list, then all of these different ways would obviously help you when you come to selling the site. So that's something they look out for. Now, one of the other things that he mentioned was having a portable homepage. So you might see a lot of old affiliate sites with a big static homepage. He said magazine style is the style of site that you need to go for. Now, when you go through, so we're talking about the blog reel kind of approach with it. When you've got your latest post, or you've got like a few featured posts, then your latest post, then you've got like all of that real kind of approach. He said that works really, really well in this industry and when you're actually going to sell your site. Now, one of the other areas of how you can increase the multiples of your site is by diversifying your traffic. So if you're currently getting your traffic from just SEO, then you might want to head over to Pinterest. You might want to increase that by focusing on another search engine, whether it be Bing, Yahoo, or something like that. And also talking about the quality of your content. So if you got a higher quality content, then that's going to give you a better chance at selling your site for a higher multiple. So and that focuses on the actual text on the site. So the site design can be a bit off, but if you've got really good content and it's really helpful to the reader, bang on topic of what they're looking for, and really converts really well. So you might want to do some conversion rate optimization as well. That's really good. That might be switching out your products or locations of where you're recommending products, or whether you're using buttons or not buttons. Just run lots of tests on your site to increase the amount of conversions that you get. All right, so that's several ways that you can actually increase your multiples when coming to selling your website. The next thing I want to talk about is ad backs. Now, what ad backs is essentially the process of the vendor adding back any expenses into your profit and losses. So where, for example, you would usually, do like a overhaul of the site and look at like the web design and look at, your metrics from your income and expenses. So say, for example, if you spent out on a big revamp of the website, so you changed the theme, you changed the email service provider that you're using, you pay yourself a salary, all those different things will get added back in. So they call that an ad back when you're selling a site, and that works in your favor, because if it went down as an expense, then that would reduce the amount of average profit that your site makes. But if they say the wage that you're paying yourself, the new logo you ordered, the website design, anything like that, car rentals, business expenses, anything like that, they'll add it back in as potential profit and loss. So that would increase the amount that your site makes on average per month. Okay, so that's really good, and it'll give you a higher multiple and a higher average overall sale price as well, And what that means for the buyer is that they essentially won't have to absorb the cost, okay? So they won't have to take on any additional expenses that they don't need to in that sense. So once they can clear that, put that in an ad back, then that will give you the all clear to go ahead with the sale, and they'll be very aware, that they won't have to, pay out for anything that they didn't want to or expect to in that sense as well. So the next thing is I wanted to talk about what really attracts, what attracts the buyers to be interested in your websites in the first place. Now, whenever, someone is buying something, they're usually looking for something that's worth more than what they're paying for it. Okay, so when you create the site, you obviously are trying to keep your expenses low. You're usually trying to hustle it out and just build your way up, sell this thing, or keep it bringing you residual income or monthly passive income, if you want to call it that. So when they come in, they need to see an opportunity in how they can gain from the situation. So when he was talking about ads, it has its pros and cons. So if you had a site with just affiliate Amazon monetization and no ads, but you were using like an email list and things like that, well, that would be the perfect opportunity for a buyer. Because if a buyer were to come in, they could see, okay, well, we can just switch on a switch, put some ads on, and within about 6 to 8 hours, we'll be essentially increasing the average income by maybe 20%, okay, per month. Now, if you obviously have ads, that's also attractive to buyers because now they can see that you've got diversification. Now, what that does is it mitigates the risk of them purchasing your site and having a potential loss. So if they were to, essentially buy your site, they don't want to know that you got one source of traffic. So if an update comes, you get hit, you got no traffic. So if you've got diversification, again, like with Pinterest and all these different things, then obviously that can be attractive. But there's a fine line and barrier with all of this because some buyers might say, okay, well, we've got a team that can apply a Pinterest optimization or Pinterest traffic to any website that comes in within certain niches. And then you might have some who like that. So they say, I'm looking for a site who's just monetizing with SEO. Overall, if you are, what I gained or learned from Gregory James from Empire Flippers is that overall you want to diversify because that is the most attractive to the widest audience of buyers. Okay, and one of the most important things when you're running a business is you want to kind of have a nice exit strategy or plan of how you're going to move that business forward. With niche sites, I think it's quite important to have an exit strategy and potentially sell or have it that you're going to build a portfolio or whatever and sell that eventually to then fund something bigger. Now, obviously, at the same time, it depends on how you're building your niche site because these niche sites, I'm just talking about monetizing with Amazon and building something that doesn't really have so much of it's not something personal, so it's just something that's like its separate entity, which is essentially a business. So one of the other attractive areas to buyers was what I mentioned earlier, which is PBNs. They like sites with PBNs purely because they can purchase it for a lot less because people who have PBNs on their site assume that there's going to be a day when an algorithm's going to hit and they're going to get wiped out. So for that reason, a lot of buyers will buy a whole kind of complex of those sites, and they know that a few of them are going to burn out, but like I mentioned earlier, the overall potential profit from the ones that do good will even and compensate for the others that lose. So how does this make sense to you and how can you use this to your benefit? I wanted to talk about how you can potentially grow with niche sites overall. So I've got a few notes down here that I'm going to go through on exactly how I believe you should approach niche websites. So what I would recommend that you do is really and truly at the beginning build up a portfolio of different websites that bring you in a nice monthly income. Then what I would plan on doing is actually selling one of those sites. So just say if you were building 5 sites or 4 sites over the next period of 1 year, what I would do is then sell one of those sites once they get to a good monthly income and then use that capital to then go and scale your business. Now, how do you scale the business once you've sold this website? Well, what the idea is, once you've sold this site, you're now going to have a large lump sum of capital, whether it be 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, so on and so forth. What that's going to allow you to do is outsource a lot of the work. So no longer would you have to write content. You can leave that down to professional writers or someone who actually owns these products or services that you're promoting and can write firsthand from firsthand experience because they got their hand on the products or services. Then you could also focus on outsourcing VAs to handle any kind of editing that comes back from writers so they can overlook and oversee it, make any tweaks to it and then apply it to the site. You could hire a traffic specialist, so someone who knows adverts, paid ads, which could allow you to promote different products on your site and really increase your average monthly your average visitors on the site per month, which will then help your SEO because it gives Google more data to work with to understand people's behavior on your website. So there's many different ways of how you can then scale, but what that will allow you to do is push out more sites and scale quickly, okay? Because if you've got that lump sum of money, you might go and put like 20,000 down on a property or do something that you wanted to do, travel, buy a house abroad, whatever it is. And then with the lump sum of the rest of that money, I would advise you to do what you already know and how you made that money, but then combine it with the skills that you've developed along that way. And once you do that, you're able to operate at scale and with speed. That will allow you to get to the next level of where you can then build something really big, whether it be one website where you actually bring the products in-house, just like Wirecutter, if you don't know that website. They test all the products in-house with a team of people and write, the best absolute content that you can find on the internet about those specific products, which is why they rank #1, because you can't really match what they do, okay? And the way that they're able to do that is through money. Money is what allows you to do things like that. One of the other areas that they heavily talk about inside of this video is comparing it in regards to property. So if you were to buy a property here in the UK and spend around £100,000, and just say, for example, argument's sake, you put down 20%, well, you could expect a rental income of around £400. So that would be a 0.004 return on investment. So we're talking less than 1%, half of 1%. Whereas the average site that you invest £100,000 into, you could expect a return on investment of £5,000 per month. So we're talking about £400 to £5,000 per month. So 5% return to a less than 1% return on your investment. So what he was talking about, Gregory James, is that a lot of property investors are now coming over to this market. So there's more demand over the last 3-4 years that's coming into this market, which is increasing the demand for these sites. So he said we're currently in a seller's market. So if you're on this end of the stick and you're selling a site, then you're in the right place at the moment. And don't be scared of all the SEO algorithm updates. As long as you're doing things fine, this is still a very profitable business model to be in. Now, over the last couple of years, the actual amount of sales that are happening on niche websites has increased by 26%, which is ridiculous. Whereas other business models have failed to keep up with that. One surpassed it that he mentioned, but it's a really good market to be in at the moment for if you're selling a website. So just keep building your sites if you're currently building one, as you will be able to exit with a nice lump sum of money if you do things in the right way. Last but not least, one of the things I wanted to go through was how you could benefit from buying a website. So a few of the tips for anyone who's looking into buying a site and what opportunities you should be looking into of how you can make money with a website if you were going to buy it and you didn't want to spend time building it and learning SEO and all of that kind of stuff. All right, so if you were going to buy a website, one of the best ways that you could really monetize it very quickly is by buying a site that's filled with a lot of traffic and informational articles but has no adverts. So if you see a site that has a nice growth metric with SEO traffic, or it's maintaining its traffic, which is even better over a period of 1 to 3 years or so, then you could capitalize on the opportunity by seeing that they have not monetized with adverts. So if they're currently just monetizing with affiliate products or something like that, then you could immediately switch on ads and make some money. Now, one of the other ways is if you see a site with a low conversion rate. So you could apply some conversion rate optimization, which is symbolized as CRO, and you could go in and increase the amount of conversions that are happening on the site. So give it a higher percentage. Now that could be done by testing things with heat map, like where the positions and the user experiences are happening, and then maybe switching out some of the products and swapping out some of the services that you're promoting on the site because they might not be converting well when they're clicking. So you'd have to test, the average conversion rate from people landing on the site to clicking a link, and the average conversion rate from someone landing on the other page, to the people buying. Okay, so all of that you would have to test and figure out what works and what doesn't. One of the other ways is if you see a really good site that's doing pretty well, it's got a nice authority behind it, nice backlink profile, and then you see an opportunity to go in and scale the site. So for example, if you're going into a site, you wanted to buy it and it had like 30 or 40 articles and it was making a nice monthly income, nice monthly return, but you saw an opportunity to scale that site to make it bigger. Well, one of the first things you would look out for is that it has a nice branded domain. So a lot of people, you know, they might have like best this blah blah blah, or this that, like a keyword for their domain. What that does is it limits you to a niche, and it also can prevent buyers from looking into your business or service, because if you're selling something that's so specific, then they can't have room for expansion. So having a branded domain that allows room for just, you know, a huge expansion is always going to be the best option. And that's a tip for whether you are building a site or whether you're buying one. Okay. The last one that I want to mention is if you're buying a site and it doesn't have an active email list, then immediately that's a quick way that you can make some money. If the site's bringing in like 20, 40,000 or even 10,000 visitors per month and there's no email list happening on the site, well, you could immediately start adding some opt-in forms onto the sidebar and the end of each article, of where you give away some kind of free product or checklist or something like that. And you get a bunch of subscribers coming in, of where you can promote products in the back end of your email marketing. And if you've got a drip feed email service, then obviously once people come in, they go through the process, through the funnel of where you would work on your conversion rate optimization in the back end. All right, so just to conclude this video, I just wanted to give you a tip on how to go about building your niche websites in the first place. What's the best way that you could really, you know, make your niche websites just great? Okay, like so it can sell and whatever else. Well, it would be to make a high quality business. Stop focusing on it as just a niche website and whatever else. You want to make it really high quality business. So, you know, make decisions that a big company would make on your small site. And when you've got that in mind, that you're running a real business, even though, like I said, it's not personal, it might be not something you're personally interested in, but make it like something that's a real business. So, you know, if you were going to do, if you had a marketing team, what decisions would they make for that business? If you were trying to, you know, pay staff members and grow that business, where would you allocate cash to scale? You know, all of those kind of decisions will affect the potential outcome and the growth of your business, of how it turns out in the first place, in the end. Okay, so just bear that in mind, and I hope this video was helpful to you. I did have a few notes that I was reading, so you might have seen it's a bit jittery and whatever else, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyway, and I'll see you in the next one. If you are new to the channel, then make sure to subscribe, and yeah, that's it. Leave a like on the video because YouTube loves it, and make sure this video gets spread out. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.